Hello YouTube, James here again with another game review, and this time, I want to play a game called Escape Simulator, an escape room style puzzle game developed by Pine Studios. The game is pretty much exactly what it sounds like, placing you into a variety of escape rooms across a number of different themes. You and your friends join forces to identify clues, solve puzzles, and maybe escape. Overall, the game is actually a lot of fun and a perfect game for the pandemic since we can't really do these type of activities right now. Even if we could though, I don't know. I might actually say that Escape Simulator is more fun than any escape room that I've ever done. But anyway, without further ado, let's dive into this review.
Oh man, sorry about that. You know how your voice can be when you first wake up. So, for those of you unfamiliar, escape rooms are a genre of puzzle game where you find yourself locked in a room. There's usually a set or series of puzzles and clues hidden throughout the room which you and your group need to crack in order to find the key and leave the room. Escape Simulator essentially acts as a sandbox where you can play through escape rooms at your leisure. The base game includes 22 different rooms across 6 different themes. These include an Egyptian theme, a space theme, a haunted mansion, and a corporate building. You play the game from a first-person perspective. You're able to pick up and move different objects in the room, and you can interact with them to investigate them for clues. This includes things like books, jars, locks, and the list gets pretty extensive. Scattered across each map are tokens, which are usually hidden and act as little rewards for those who search in every nook and cranny of the map. In general, I found that the rooms designed by Pine were very reminiscent of the bomb defusing game, Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes. I say this because quite a few of the rooms did feel like they were composed of a number of smaller, separate puzzles which led into one larger puzzle, rather than say a series of puzzles that lead into one another and eventually to the final key. That's not to say every single dev-designed room does this, but that was the general impression I got with the base game room design. As for the puzzles themselves, I feel like a lot of the puzzles in the base game are based around number and pattern recognition and being able to associate puzzles with their appropriate clues. Again, that's not to say that there aren't different styles of puzzles, but that was just my general impression of the design philosophy of the base game maps. I believe that all base maps have a time limit of 15 minutes, but you can continue to try and finish them even if you go over the time. One of the big things that makes Escape Sim so interesting though is the fact that the game has a level editor and workshop support. This allows the community to design and share their own rooms. This is just seriously so awesome as it really expands not only the number of maps, but the types of puzzles, themes, and ideas. For example, there was a really cool haunted mansion based room which I thought was super well done. There's even Sudoku rooms, Harry Potter themed rooms, Saw themed rooms, pirates, toys. The possibilities are endless. Of course though, as with any community created mods, your mileage with these rooms might be a bit hit or miss. Custom maps can bug out sometimes too, as I've had objects disappear, forcing us to restart so that we can complete the level. Community maps also just tend to be a bit more difficult for a couple of reasons. For one thing, the puzzles tend to be much more cryptic. The dev-created maps tend to be much more clear in their solutions, and locks are often labeled letting you know what corresponds to what. Dev-created maps also have a clue system built in which you can use if you ever get stuck, and community ones really have no such function, at least not from the ones I've played so far. I've also run into cases where community maps might require outside knowledge, but these tend to be fewer and far between. On the other hand though, I did notice that dev-created maps tend to have far more red herrings, because they do tend to include a lot more objects for you to interact with in each level. Meanwhile, community maps tended to be more focused and generally will only have the items you need to solve the puzzle. Regardless though, having community maps is really cool and I would love to see different styles of rooms in the future, and it'll be a real test to see how creative people can get. I think one that might be particularly fun, if it were at all possible, would be a murder mystery style whodunit. I did find a few slight issues, but nothing too egregious. The first would have to be the fact that with any puzzles with locks, sometimes you can just brute force your way through them. For example, if you're ever only able to find 3 of the 4 hints for a lock, going through all the possible remaining options is going to be the smartest thing for you to do, rather than trying to find that 4th hint. But in some ways, this also defeats the whole puzzle part of the game. There was even a time where my friend somehow managed to correctly guess the solution to a puzzle, and in a way we kind of skipped through a lot of the room because of it. Perhaps if they had some sort of trigger system, it would prevent users from being able to play a puzzle that they don't actually have the solution to yet. Another issue that would sometimes come up would be when players would share objects and view items together. Escape Sim lets you and your teammates inspect the same objects at the same time. I did find though that sometimes this would bug out or be a little frustrating to use. Sometimes the game would just close out the inspection screen randomly, sometimes the objects wouldn't even appear on the screen, and sometimes the game wouldn't allow some players to properly interact with the object. While I'm sure it can definitely be complicated to get something like that to work properly, I think it's definitely an area that they should fix, as right now, it kind of feels like it bugs out more often than not. Of course, another issue that comes up is, similar to real escape rooms, the game can sometimes suffer from too many cooks in the kitchen. Supposedly you can play with up to 8 people per room, but I think the ideal number to play with is actually probably around 2 to 3, maybe 4, but even at 4 people you might find that since there's only so many puzzles available at a time, some people just feel left out or like they're being dragged along for the ride. Finally, a minor thing that they should have included was probably some sort of alarm system to let you know when your time is almost through, because right now it's quite silent, and I think an alarm would help give a sense of urgency when solving the puzzles. Otherwise, I don't think I have any major complaints in other areas. The graphics look nice and have a cartoonish style that works well, the different themes and assets are well done, and I look forward to any updates that might bring more themes and rooms. Creating your own character is also a cute little thing you can do if you want. The audio design is a bit lacking, I suppose, not really having any music or much in terms of sound effects, but honestly, given the style of the game, I think this is a fairly minor complaint, as it's probably more important to be able to concentrate and communicate. Overall though, I really enjoyed Escape Simulator, and I think it's a very solid game to play with friends. It's well done all around and has tons of potential with custom content. There are of course some small things I think they should address, but overall, I'm very satisfied with my purchase. Personally, I think Escape Room is well worth the $15 price tag, and honestly, that's probably going to be cheaper and more fun than going to a real escape room. Given the sandboxy nature of the game and potential for custom content, I can definitely see this being a game you can sink a ton of hours into. I'm giving Escape Sim a 3.5 out of 4. It does pretty much everything it sets out to do and is a perfect vehicle to allow you and your friends to hang out, work together, and show off your skills. But hey, that's just me. Have you tried Escape Sim, and what'd you think of it? And of course, if you made this far, I truly do appreciate you watching. If you enjoyed the video, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button, as it really helps out my channel. And as usual, I hope you have a great rest of your day. Peace.